Hey everybody, this is Tyler James. This is a special comics launch panel that I'm excited to be offering up for y'all. We have a number of creators that are all participating in the BackerKit Pintopia event. We're going to talk about what that event is, why we chose to participate, what our initial reasons for getting in, and what our initial reactions to this event have been so far. And then we're also going to do like a deep dive on, as you know, all of us on this panel are veteran crowdfunders, and we've primarily done most of our launching on Kickstarter. We're going to share some thoughts on the BackerKit crowdfunding platform itself, pros and cons, things that surprised us about it, and just everything that anyone that might want to take part in one of these events or launch a project on BackerKit crowdfunding in the future may or may not want to know about it. We're going to dive into it all tonight, so I'm excited to get into this. Thing that I want to do though is give everyone a chance to introduce themselves and their project. And so first up here, we have a team from the Attic Door Media group. We have Cici and Mark. Cici, you want to start to introduce yourself and the project?
Yeah, so I'm Cici. The comic that I write is Mythfall, and our project on Pintopia is Magic and Mischief Epic Phoenix Enamel Pins. So this is our actually second project on BackerKit, and it's also our second pin project. We were part of another event last year called Pintober. Our premise is that there is a wizard called Cecil who rescued the baby phoenixes in our first campaign, which was an Adopt a Phoenix campaign. And now he has come back to help protect the baby phoenix's homeland by recruiting epic phoenixes to help him in this fight. And each phoenix design has a pin, and each phoenix pin has a different element. So we've got a fire phoenix, an ice phoenix, a moon phoenix, and we also have a pin of Cecil this time around.
Oh, Cecil. So I love this because this is an example and kind of a cool process where there's a story behind the pin set that you're crafting, but this was something that was not an existing IP, correct? This is something that you actually created for the concept of launching these pins. Mark, introduce yourself and share a little bit more about that.
Yeah, hi, I'm Mark. I'm the writer of Incident Reports and the other half of the ADM team here. And yeah, the big thing for us when we started the pin thing is that we were doing comics primarily, but we wanted to tell a story with the pins just to make it a little bit more fun and interactive and engaging. And so we created this story of like Cecil, like going to protect the baby phoenixes. And that's kind of the beginning. And Cici's been working on like letters from Cici, and we're going to letters from Cecil. And we're going to do like kind of like a tale by letter of like him and his journeys. And it's just a fun way to kind of interact with people on the campaign.
Yeah, that's awesome. We also have the leader of the Wolfpack himself, Rob Multari, is here. Rob, please introduce yourself and share a little bit about what you're bringing to Pin.
Yeah, so I'm Rob Multari. I'm the creator and writer of Nightwolf and Snowpaw, the popular indie comic book series. I also have the Wolfpack Pups, which is basically Muppet Baby Eyes versions of those characters, kind of in their own kind of like school grade world. And so my first story is a Halloween trick-or-treat tale featuring the two pups. And we also have pins for the characters for this campaign. I thought since I had both, that, this is my first time running a BackerKit crowdfund.
Oh, wait, let me come in and yeah, so awesome. So you've got all those are prototyped up and ready to go and written. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exciting, man. Congrats.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I love it. And we also have here Frank Martin. Frank, share a little bit about yourself and share what you got going on over on BackerKit.
Okay, I'm Frank Martin, writer and creator of the sci-fi fairy tale series Grimspace. Those who know me know I like to bounce around between different projects, but I've decided to really double down on Grimspace this year. I'm planning 6 Kickstarters to really expand the universe. And I've always wanted to do like merchandise too. I'm not a big merchandise guy. I kind of just do stories, but I want to get into for this big IP, t-shirts and stickers and magnets and all that stuff. And Pintopia was a good kick in the butt excuse to kind of like jump in on pins. And last year I did Comictopia, so I'm a little familiar with how to set up a crowdfunding project in BackerKit. So I'm just like, why not? I could do it pretty quickly. And I actually have a Kickstarter running right now. So it's kind of like I have both going on at the same time. And might shoot myself.
It's a Grimspace?
It is.
Yeah,
it is.
gotcha.
I'm doing all Grimspace this year. So I'm turning into like a big, I don't know, Grimspace-a-palooza. So this was an excuse to make pins because I was going to do pins anyway somewhere down the line and offer it to my Kickstarter backers. This is just a way to kind of fund the items that I can then sell there later. And I even told the backers for Kickstarter now, I said, look, these are eventually going to come to Kickstarter. So there's no reason to jump on BackerKit now if you want to, but it's an excuse to get it cheaply and because they're going to go up in price when I bring them to Kickstarter. So
cool. Awesome. So yeah, there's a lot of places that we can go towards this. I will also share that not only am I hosting this panel, but I am a participant in Pintopia this year. Over the past several years, we've been making enamel pins for a couple of different brands, but the CS for Cthulhu brand is one that we've done very well with. On my last survey to my audience, pins were among the highest rated item that we put out, just behind the plush toys and the books. So pins pretty popular for our audience. We produced usually at least one pin with every campaign, but in some campaigns, pins to go along with every plush. The fact that BackerKit was calling Pintopia 2025 a pins and plushie event seemed like it was a no-brainer for us to give this a try. It was another reason to do it because I have had several BackerKit crowdfunding creators on the podcast, but I had yet to ever launch a Pintopia or a BackerKit crowdfunding project, and it was about time to dive into this platform, see it under the hood, and really see it in the way that you can only discover when you actually run a campaign on it. So yeah, but yeah, this campaign has been live. Pintopia kicked off on Thursday of last week, and so we've made it through the first weekend of it. By all accounts, the event overall has been very successful. Could you sort of describe the event as you understand it, and what's the concept about it? What potentially makes it special?
Yeah. So from what I can tell, BackerKit likes to organize collections of product into a group launch that happens together. So they have Comictopia, they have Pintopia, and they're collecting a bunch of creators who create a specific type of product and are trying to launch them all at the same time. For Pintopia, it's a bunch of artists and creators who are making pins and plushies, and it's quite a lot of them. It's like over 100. Is it over 100? I think
it's 100, like 176.
I'm still finding new projects even a week in.
Yeah, they might still be popping. This is and so this is their pin board, where one of the things they did was they asked every creator to create just a single sort of image that could stand for their project that would appear on this pin board, and then so that they can sort of display all of the projects that are live at once. And then you can actually track if you're getting any pledges from this particular pin board, which is kind of cool.
And it rotates, which I think is really great. So it's not always the same projects at the top.
Absolutely. So I think for BackerKit, the Topia events are sort of their branded events. Kickstarter has done something similar in terms of like having their monthly challenge events, the Make 100 month, the zine months, and
they'd have a Halloween one too, right? Like
the witches, Witchtober, yeah. So Kickstarter has done themes, but one thing that I've found is that just compared to when Kickstarter does their theme months is like, it seems like there's real dedicated staff that is really trying to organize this event and drive connections between creators. Whereas on Kickstarter, you launch the project in that month, you include a hashtag, and you're kind of in. This was a little bit more organized, right? Was this did you, Mark, when you guys participated in Pintober, was it kind of the same, or did this feel like it was even, more organized?
So that's what's interesting, I think, also because Pintopia is like a BackerKit event, and it's run by the BackerKit team, and they organize it all. But Pintober was actually a community event that we were a part of. So it was a lot smaller in scope, but it was basically a group of I think Pintober had maybe about 20 creators in it that all had gotten together and said, let's do this event. And so BackerKit provides the same sort of support in terms of setting up a page like this, where there's emblems of everyone's pins and stuff. Then they shouted out the event as a community event. But yeah, so this is obviously a lot bigger, but it's kind of cool that BackerKit also allows groups of creators to kind of come together and be like, hey, we want to do this thing together, and then BackerKit supports it as a group effort.
Yeah, and we got a message today, or at least I think I saw it in the back channel. So there's actually a private Discord that BackerKit set up for Pintopia creators. And so there's a messaging channel that is to connect creators, and then also to have the BackerKit staff connect with them. But they let the creators know that this is already the most successful of their Topia events, with 1.3 million total raised and over 28,000 backers supporting these projects collectively. And right now, looks like 90+% of these projects are funded. So we've got 10 more projects to go. And the other thing that I thought was pretty interesting is BackerKit has some skin in the game, in that they themselves, as a company, will be doing some shipping and shipping out rewards, because they have their own Pintopia reward that I believe if you back 10 projects or more, you will get a Pintopia BackerKit 2025 trophy pin that BackerKit creates, and that they actually ship out to all of the backers that are participating. So, there's 28,000 backers. I'm sure a percentage of those are going to be backing all 10, but BackerKit's probably going to be shipping out a lot of packages. It's kind of a fun event for them when they, get the teams together, roll up their sleeves, and actually get shipping things out. That's one example of a cross-collaboration bonus reward that the pin lovers out there can receive. But the cross-collaboration rewards is truly a BackerKit exclusive feature that is super interesting. Frank, you want to share what the cross-collaboration rewards are, and then how you went about making your cross-collab pair?
This was something that they also did for Comictopia. I guess it's just a feature that they have built into the site. And it's pretty cool because as Kickstarter creators, we've been doing this unofficially for a long time, where if you have another campaign and you guys offer a reward to people who back both, but there's no mechanism within Kickstarter to figure that out. You kind of have to have your spreadsheet, have them have their spreadsheet and cross-reference to see who backs both. But BackerKit has it built into their system where you could just link another campaign, which is awesome. And then it's the way it works is if you back both, there's a free pin, or in this case, it's a pin, but for Comictopia, it was comics or whatever, in which case you would get automatically just for backing both campaigns. And every Pintopia, I guess if you bring up a campaign, you could see the bar on the side where it shows, the one I have a pizza monster guy. He was very cool. So, and for some people, I see you and Mark obviously know each other. You guys hooked up. I didn't know this guy, so I was kind of looking for people. And within that's the cool thing about the back channel that they set up, is that you can look for people to collaborate with. And I have nothing to do with this. It's not space fantasy fairy tales, and I have no pizza involved in my campaign. But I think that it's a cool project, and I linked up with it. And it's cool that it shows how many of your backers back both. I guess it says 66%.
Yeah, so that's pretty good. That's a pretty high percentage, and kind of a cool. That's a cool pin. Pizza monster. I want to know more about this team of heroic pizza.
I think you were talking about it before, about how it's a community event. BackerKit really has skin in the game, and they really cultivated this nice community feel that Kickstarter doesn't. It doesn't feel the same. I can't imagine Kickstarter saying, if you back 10 of these campaigns, we'll send you something. So it's cool that BackerKit really tries to go the extra mile to make it feel like a joint friendly effort.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, the one thing that going into this event that I wasn't aware of is like officially the way BackerKit's, I guess, programming is set up, you can only sort of display one sort of official cross collab project that it will actually do the math for you and pay attention to how many people are backing both projects. There's opportunity for you to do more cross collab projects. So for the C is for Cthulhu, for our team, our special incentives, we're partnering with Rob and Cici and Mark. Our official cross collab is with the Nightwolf and Cthulhu. And we sort of had these mirror or reverse pins where if you back if you back both projects, you'll actually get both of these pins. Rob will send backers that back both of our projects this one, and I will send backers that back both projects this pin. So it's kind of a cool thing. And then we also created this collaboration pin so that if they also back the Attic Door project, we've got this one that will go out as well. So it's kind of a fun little extra way to add value here, and the fact that it actually kind of supports that and calls it out does seem to be something that works and gets people backing multiple projects. But yeah, Mark.
I was going to say that one of the interesting things, and we may be able to use this ourselves later, is that when we did the Pintopia campaign, BackerKit was able to help us on the back end with connecting it. So like, even though it wasn't using their official like one-to-one like cross collab feature, they were able to connect, because in Pintopia it was you had to back 3 projects to get like the special pins. And so they were able to basically add on the back end all of the backers that fit that description and input the items for us automatically, which was kind of nice. We didn't have to go through and do it manually with 18 other creators.
And yeah, other thoughts on just like the concept of these cross collaborations, or just the Pintopia process or event in general? I don't know, Rob.
I like how like they do add it in the back end as well. As like once they show that you've backed them both, they like put it in, like if you click on the backer and see their like list of like what they're getting, that's included in there. So that's something that we don't have to figure out later. The way I've been doing my cross collaborations, Tyler, you've done with me a few times, is usually I like send or have my collaboration partners send a code via like backer only update, and then I will put it in to my BackerKit reward survey, because that's usually what I do. When I run my Kickstarters, I use BackerKit for the pledge manager. So I ask a question, what was the code, enter the code, and then on the back end, I have a SKU that if they had put that code in, it triggers that I need to give them that print or that digital, which is nice. The digital download will then automatically go because that SKU's in there. So this kind of does the work for us.
And I know Mark and Cici, you guys have your official cross collab partner is the Flutter and Flora enamel pins. Did you connect with them through BackerKit, or was this a group that you knew going in?
We connected them through the Discord channel that you mentioned, the kind of private like Pintopia Discord that BackerKit set up. We saw that someone was making like butterfly pins, which kind of matches Cici's vibe with her Mythfall Lunamoth pin. So we decided to reach out, and yeah, we connected pretty quickly.
Nice. And what did you decide to do as the crossover pin?
Well, lucky for us, the person doing Flutter and Flora is the artist, so they were kind enough to do both of the pins for us. So we created another Phoenix and another Lunamoth butterfly to match Cici's Mythfall project.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's really cool. All right, here's one thing that I'll get into, and then we'll just one more thing about the Pintopia event that I want to ask you all, but then we'll get into the just crowdfunding of it, just thoughts on the platform. But in terms of campaign design, I know for myself, I, as veteran of plenty of Kickstarters and many crowdfunding campaigns, I sort of have the way I do things and my approach to things. But one of the things that I tried to do was to say, okay, let me not have just my default way of doing things. Let me spend some time studying the BackerKit platform a little bit and trying to make sure that I'm doing things that are in alignment with what seemed to work for BackerKit and what seemed to work in sort of the pin world. So I kind of adjusted structure, and I might have changed the structure of my campaigns a little bit, the pricing a little bit, and approach a little bit differently than how I've done other Kickstarters. How did you guys go about like the pricing of these pins and how to structure rewards and your approach there? Maybe start with Frank, and then we'll. Yeah.
Since I consider this an auxiliary campaign to all of my Kickstarters, my main goal was streamlining things as simply as possible. You know, I've never done pins before, so I stalked a couple of last year's Pintopia events just to see pricing structure, how much people were offering for them, and then I had to figure out how much pins cost and if I could even do it. But for the most part, when I wanted to make a campaign, I wanted to make it simple and easy because I'm running a Kickstarter at the same time. So I'm going to have to fulfill both of these at the same time. I didn't want to overcomplicate things. I'm offering 3 pins and then a bundle for all 3 of them. My Grimspace Mickey Mouse characters. So I guess that's the extra one. And it was also an opportunity to offer digital comics because I didn't want to offer physical comics here. I thought that would have made things complicated. I have stickers and keychains. Those would have been easy to throw in a pouch. But I thought comics would have complicated things. But yeah, one of the cool things I like about BackerKit is that they have digital fulfillment built into the platform, which makes it super easy to send out digital rewards. They do it automatically for you. So yeah, creating as little headaches for myself as possible. That was my goal and how I designed the campaign, which I think I did. We'll find out when it's all done.
Yeah, love it. So Mark and Cici, you guys had a little bit of experience with Pintober. What sort of your approach to just setting up pledge levels, thinking about pricing, how to display?
That we noticed when we researched pin projects ahead of Pintober. And one of the things we noticed about them is, like, unlike comic Kickstarters, like the reward is pins. And then as you go up the tiers, it's like more pins.
Yeah.
And the other thing that we noticed was different is that on BackerKit, at least when it comes to pin campaigns, you list the highest, most expensive tier first, and then you work your way down to the less expensive pledges. And that is kind of the opposite of the way it is on Kickstarter.
Yeah, and so that's something that I'll just call out here. Unlike on Kickstarter, you actually have complete control in your dashboard of your pledge levels in terms of what order you want them to go in first, your sort of epic bundles first. That was something that I did. And then, I'm also working with the BackerKit marketing team on ads, and they suggested maybe, because my epic reward was like $799 because it included everything. And they're like, maybe that's a little too high and it'll give you a little sticker shock. So let's try to boost conversions by moving that down a little bit. So, but it's something that you can actually play around with. Or if you add a new reward that you want to draw some attention to, or you could, bump that to the top. And what I kind of did was I did some reshuffling. These are the most popular rewards. Let me actually put those near the top, assuming the conversions would be better on those. You get to play with that, which is something that's different about BackerKit.
Yeah.
I remember there was something from your trainings, Tyler. You talked about core rewards and drawing attention to them visually. Kickstarter doesn't offer a whole lot of leeway to play around with that, but you could see plainly that BackerKit lets you spotlight and feature particular rewards and draw attention to it through the system itself, which I thought was cool.
Another thing that we did that seems to be working is to talk about that core reward element. Is one of the earliest Kickstarters we ever backed was for Bones Reaper Dungeons and Dragons minis, and they had a single tier where if you backed at least that tier level, you got all of the extra freebies that got unlocked later. And I think that you talk about that for comic Kickstarters as well, but this is the first time we've actually tried it. And so we have a pledge level that basically where I think it's a $45 level. If you back at that level with 3 pins, you'll get all the unlocks for the backer rewards. So like if we have rewards at backer count, and those automatically get added on free. So we figured out if you were an early backer and you back like the cross collab stuff, you could get something like 7 free pins or something crazy at that level. And that seems to drive people towards that tier. And the last unique thing I think about our pricing is something that Mark found after the campaign was already live about the paying in installments.
Yeah.
And Mark, do you remember what the threshold is for that?
I believe the threshold, Tyler, you might know too. I think if the threshold is $150 or higher, you can opt to pay in
Yeah.
installments.
It's somewhere between $100 and $200, and you can pay in 4 installment payments. Are people utilizing that on your campaign?
Yeah, we've actually had 1 or 2 people pick it up already, actually, on that 200 pledge level that we've added in like a couple days into the campaign.
Yeah, and Kickstarter
Curious
will.
what's going to happen at
or,
the
sorry,
end of the campaign with it.
Yeah. So BackerKit will show you this in your dashboard. And yeah, I've got 17 backers pledging $3,500 using that pay over time feature. So that's kind of that's something, you know. Hopefully those payments come through. It says in the fine print that technically you won't be able to complete your survey until that last payment is paid, which is interesting.
Crowdfunding layaway.
It really is. But the ability to go big but start small, I guess, it's a proven winner. So
You know what it reminds me of? I hear like Burger King has to be creative with their marketing because McDonald's just dominates so much. So it's like BackerKit has to find all these little quirks and details that can set itself apart from Kickstarter that just make it special and unique in those little ways. The underdogs have to be creative. They got to think outside the box with stuff.
Yeah. There is that sort of scrappy, let's go for it mentality that seems to run through BackerKit. And as you know, a company that kind of only or that has been built sort of based on, all right, what are the pain points, what are the problem points that Kickstarter creators have with fulfillment? And anyone that's done a crowdfunding campaigns know there's a lot of pain points and a lot of factors, and they've sort of built a platform to sort of be the Swiss Army knife of crowdfunding fulfillment. So it does seem like they are, trying to find new ways and new use cases and support the way that crowdfunders want to crowdfund, which is kind of, it's cool to see. And Rob, you are with, you're a veteran crowdfunder. I know you've got boxes behind you, you've got inventory, so no shortage of stuff you'd be looking to move during this campaign. Thoughts on your pricing approach?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of treated it exactly the same as Kickstarter. Essentially, what I was going for with this campaign was, I've been doing everything in Kickstarter, and with the Wolfpack Pups, it's my newer IP, if you will. And I was eventually planning on launching the Snowpaw plush. And, like I said, when we got the invites to do it, I said, well, that's actually a perfect opportunity because, the prototype's already ready. I just kind of had to roll with it, right? And I had just finished in November the night fulfillment, so everybody had just gotten their stuff for him. And so I basically just wanted to make it pretty much the similar, because I wanted my Kickstarter backers to come over and back. So I wanted it to be almost seamless.
Yeah.
And, I thought, okay, well, if I can treat it the same as I've been running my Kickstarter, pull it over here, pull more people over, they'll get the similar experience, but also get like the cool nuances that they don't get with, Kickstarter. So I even tiered my pledge levels the same as I would. So it would be lowest to highest. My campaign page is very similar, except instead of leaning more towards the Wolfpack Pups with a little bit heavier on the Snowpaw, instead of being like Snowpaw is the main focus, because, over here, since it's a new platform, and it's new to, the backers here, I wanted them to be able to get the whole story. I wanted them to get the book, the plushies, the pins. Also, we have a new thing for, the Wolfpack coming back. But again, I tried to keep pricing the same. The only thing that I thought was a little weird was the shipping isn't charged. So that kind of was that threw me off a little bit. And I'm sure that's kind of what's throwing off some of my Kickstarter backers. Because I do see there is a difference, and I'm sure we'll get to that later.
So, we're old school. I from the very beginning have been sort of doing, shipping, like US shipping free, and then, tried different ways to handle the international shipping over the years. But in just looking at every BackerKit Pintopia project from the past and BackerKit's own suggestions, like the the best practice over here was that you charge shipping after the campaign in BackerKit, and you can use their tools to order shipping. And because pins especially are like, each pin is like half an ounce or whatever, so you can get those 7 extra pins, and it probably won't knock them up to another tier of shipping. So that's part of the reason why I think BackerKit can handle that really well versus like the Kickstarter, per item shipping. But yeah, I'm a little worried that every backer will have to pay a little bit more for shipping when they go to fill out their survey, and due to survey results or customer service inquiries.
I'm also concerned about the international backers too, because they're used to seeing that up front. I know that's how much it's going to be, but I guess the unknown is also like, oh, I'm only paying like, let's say the $40 for a plush or the $10 for a pin or whatever you're charging.
One of the things I liked about jumping from Kickstarter to BackerKit, especially in the Discord channels, is that we've all come up in the Kickstarter ecosystem. So it's like we have that Kickstarter crowdfunding mindset. And when I start talking in the Discord, especially for Comictopia too, people who grew up in the BackerKit crowdfunding, they form a different kind of mindset. So when I was asking about shipping, they're like, what are you talking about? You include shipping in the item. That doesn't make any sense. I was like, it makes sense to everybody that does it. Totally different way of thinking. And I found that very interesting, that if you grow up in different systems, you just have a different way of viewing things.
I almost, like, going into this, I almost thought that, like, okay, well, since they have the weight base figured out in Pledge Manager, that was already included in crowdfund. Like, that was going to be the thing. Like, I was going to be able to actually set up weight-based, like, shipping rates. I was excited for that. And then when I was like, hey, Mark, where's the shipping?
Yeah, they're like, oh, there is no shipping. So yeah, that was definitely something that there's less integration between BackerKit Pledge Manager and BackerKit crowdfunding than I assume there would be going in. Pledge Manager is still its own tool, and there still is work to set up your Pledge Manager after you set up your BackerKit. So that's something that was a lesson learned for sure. And I would
actually ask the BackerKit team about the add-ons, since I've been using BackerKit for all my Kickstarters. So I asked if they were able to import, because you couldn't do it yourself. Like, we couldn't manually do it ourselves. So I asked them how, or if they were able to import from the last Wolfpack Pups one, and they were able to then shift all my add-ons over. So that was a nice thing that they were able to do for me.
Yeah, on the setup side. Yeah, so yeah, I'm with you though in seeing that was what the market kind of had adopted and what was the best practices. I like doing that because honestly, it is nice to be able to run this campaign and view it like, hey, the funds that are raised for this campaign, that's going to product, and then shipping will be shipping.
Yeah.
and knowing that on the back end of this campaign there will be another funding event that will raise extra money can be good, because we all know how fast that Kickstarter money can spend, especially if it's like one lump payment.
One of the benefits to having it separate though is that because I'm running the Kickstarter at the same time, I did have a couple people say, what's the deal with shipping? And I'm like, well, if you did back both, I could just put your Pintopia item in your Kickstarter reward, because it will be easily placed into Gemini. So, I mean, I don't expect most people to have 2 campaigns running at the same time, but it kind of worked out a little bit for me.
And feel free, Frank, to jump back into the live stream and include a link to your other Kickstarter. I'm pretty sure I saw it, but I didn't make the connection that was still going while this one was going.
It launched Tuesday, and then Pintopia launched Thursday. So yeah. I didn't really have a whole lot of say in when they did Pintopia, but yeah.
Busy week.
Really had a week.
A couple questions from the audience watching. Shout out to Ray Fighting Figs. He says, any word on them supporting multiple collabs in the future? Did you happen to ask anybody at BackerKit if they had any intention to be able to support multiple collaborations?
We did ask, and they said that they're considering adding the support because a couple of people have asked them about it.
Cool. And then the other question was also, how do you decide who fulfills the extra pins? So one of the, like with the cross collab, the official cross collab pins, the way they sort of get around who has to fulfill that is they recommend that each creator has their own pin that is the bonus if they back both campaigns. So like with me and Rob can send, his pin, I can send my pin, and then we're off to the races.
It's not one reward. It's each crew.
Yeah, you get 2.
Has their own separate cross collab pin.
Although for Cici and Mark, since we decided like we weren't an official one, just kind of like a bonus one, we've got one pin, and then we'll figure out how we do it. Either we'll split it or we'll just,
I'm working with them as well, but this was before I found out we couldn't do more than one. So we had already developed 2 different. So I have 4 pins on my page.
You're pot committed. So
they're going to do one. I'm going to do one. You're going to do one. I'm going to do.
so back Rob's project, because you're going to get a lot of extra
4 pins.
Back these projects, you get a lot of pins.
Yeah. Oh,
so
Raymond, by the way, did design about half of the Phoenix designs for our current campaign.
Raymond's funny.
Yeah.
Great,
this will design Cecil for us.
Yes, Raymond, a super talented artist in his own right and creator, and I did not realize he was connected to the project. So congrats, Raymond.
I have him working on a Grim Space story too, so it's all around.
Oh, nice.
Well, it's all coming up right.
Everybody loves Raymond.
So. In terms of, and we were talking a little bit about just the pledge levels and approach. For my campaign that I put together for the Seas for Cthulhu crew, we've sort of been on we do one big crowdfunding launch each year, and we throw everything into that launch. That's how, these launches, like the last launch we did had, I think, 5 brand new plush toys and a book and pins and coins, and these are 6-figure campaigns, but a lot of stuff going into them. My goal for this one was to decidedly not do that and to move some of the stock that is taking up a storage locker, multiple storage lockers now, and a U-Vault down the way. So I wasn't really, we weren't prepared. We were already working on the 2025 plush toys, but none of them were ready for prime time. I was trying to focus on, what we could do on the pin side. I do have a stock of pins from past campaigns and want to kind of restock some of them as well. So like we just sort of decided, all right, we're going to offer, like, this will be the biggest collection of pins that we've ever offered. And then one of the things that in just looking at a couple of campaigns and just hearing about it, and then also for my own purposes, like we've got all these pins, they're kind of sit like when we're not in a launch, they're sitting in boxes or whatever, or on a shelf. And so the idea of a custom pin board really came to mind as something that would be cool. And we were able to find like a vendor that could do this for us. So this is actually proven to be, even though we don't have a lot of brand new stuff, this custom pin board is proven to be a very popular item that we're offering for this campaign. It's in the shape of our logo. And then I also decided, all right, we've done a lot with these 1-inch pins. Maybe we could take like our most popular characters and do 2-inch versions of them using some other Cthulhu art of just some of our most popular characters. And so, in terms of the brand new stuff, we've got a couple variants on Cthulhu, and then the pin board and the 2-inch pins. And so in terms of setting up the pledge levels, followed some of the model, but gave options for people to get pins and board books, get all the pins in the new pin board, choose one of each. And then to incorporate the plush toys into the pledge levels, I sort of had the idea of like pin and plush combos focused on character. So, we've got the Lovecraft with a set of pins, the Shuggoth with a set of pins related, and so on. And so, just that was the approach we had. And then for add-ons, I offered, here's all the stuff that we had. And so there was a lot of time spent. I should have reached out to see about importing, Rob. I didn't know that was a possibility. So mark that as a lesson learned. But it did take a while to set this up. And one thing on the back end, Kickstarter or BackerKit is very modular in terms of setting things up. The story section, each part when you're creating it, unlike Kickstarter where there's just one big block, on BackerKit you could set up as many story sections as you want, like the clickable sidebar links, and then you can rearrange them. And it does take a while to set up, but
I kind of like that better.
Do you? Yeah.
I think it's easier to organize your brain as a checklist is like what you need. I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely easier to just like You can focus on a few sections at a time. You can leave placeholders. You can move things around a little bit. Kickstarter can get unwieldy when you if you start forgetting. All right, did I do this part yet? Or where is this? But so it's definitely different.
It's nice too, like when you do the review with them, and like especially if you're used to the Kickstarter way of doing things, they're like, oh well, we have these features that you should probably do something with too, and you're like, oh, I didn't know that existed. And they give you the links that go directly to what those features are.
Right.
Kickstarter definitely has the I'm going to throw you in the deep end of the pool kind of mentality.
And so in terms of like special features, are there any that in particular that you guys are taking advantage of?
I like that they have built-in early bird incentives. Because in Kickstarter, you have to figure that out yourself. Who's your early bird backers? BackerKit has it built in. They can track who's your early bird people and be able to send out their rewards through
and
their
returning backers too.
System. Too.
And so you can sort of set that up there. And,
I think if they offer a lot more, that would be another feather in their cap. I mean, and I think it's being able to track incentives through the system itself.
Well, they also have this achieve part where, and this is kind of interesting, like you can create achievements, which are basically like stretch goals. They can be based on what you want to create, or like, so they can be based on funding amount. They can be based on certain actions. They can be based on social sharing. And so like, I was just really curious to test this out. And I set it up for 100 social shares on X and 100 social shares on Facebook. And I think the only comment I've got is, hey, can we do it somewhere? What about Blue Sky? Can you do it somewhere else? Because we're not loving either of these platforms right at the moment. And I'm like, yeah, sorry. Those things are not natively supported in the achievements right now.
I like to do a giveaway, a full moon something, for my wolves. And, or like, during Halloween, I give a Halloween gift or, whatever, stuff like that, that's in the middle of the campaign. Because that's, I feel like both Kickstarter, BackerKit, and probably most of the crowdfunding platforms, like they're aware of the dead zone, but there's no like, especially like now that they give you like incentive stuff, but there's nothing there to incentivize the middle.
I think creators are creative, so if they allow us the opportunity to figure out weird marketing ways to utilize all of these built-in incentives, it would be pretty cool.
Yeah. One thing they do give us is this banner here right at the top. So, I've like at the beginning, this said, get a free patch back in the first 48 hours. Now I changed it to focusing, on returning backers, but you can sort of use this to focus attention to something in particular if you want, which is, definitely something, you have a little headline or a banner that's editable throughout your campaign that you can play with. So that's definitely something there. What about like the community tab is a little bit different. Have you guys used the community tab, or has your approach to, because this is sort of like their version of Kickstarter updates, have you done much with this? Anybody?
So we've actually started doing, or trying to do, a lot more polls inside of the community section, and those seem to be getting a lot of activity that we were pretty excited about. I think in the last campaign that we did during Pintopia, we had like one poll that we did that had like 70 votes, which was like almost every single backer on it. So we've been trying to do that more. And I believe if you do like a poll or an update, it also pops up sometimes on the actual like Pintopia page too. So you kind of like bring yourself to the top of the Pintopia page with a new update and stuff.
Yeah. And the Pintopia page is kind of cool. It is trying to shine lights on projects. So for example, like we're streaming right now, like all of our projects are on the front page of Pintopia because we are streaming live talking about this. And then, here's an example of another, which should we unlock next from a big, huge actually project, the Cryptid Crush crew. So yeah, there's a lot of cool ways that you can get a little extra attention. Another thing that I know Kickstarter backers been asking for forever is when you send an update or you create an update, you have the opportunity to determine who gets the update. It will not just send it to your backers, but you could set it up so that it will also go to anyone who's following your campaign or anyone who has ever backed a campaign of yours. So that is another opportunity to potentially put more messages in front of people that have already expressed some interest into your project, which is definitely a nice feature.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. Basically, I sent the same thing that I was going to send.
You know, you can add things like a poll or add other ways to make it stand out. They also allow you to sort of, in the same update, you could have a section of that update that's just for backers. So potentially you could say, hey, everybody, today backers have unlocked this. Backers will be getting it, or just back the campaign and you'll be able to see that update, which is pretty cool. Here's a question. Adriano Arginello asked this one from the Comics Launch group. He asked the question, are you finding your Kickstarter backers are making the switch, or is this a new audience for you that you're finding on BackerKit? Mark and Amy, what have you guys found?
I feel like for us, it's a little bit apples and oranges because we made the jump from comics to pins completely. So we weren't expecting a ton of people to. On our first campaign, our returning backer rate was only 3%. And 83% of our backers were completely new to us from Pintober. And then we kind of continued that trend a little bit. Now that we have people that back us for pin reasons, we have a lot more returning backers this time around, but we're actually still getting a lot of people from the event. 66% of our backers are new right now, and 34% are returning backers to the current campaign.
Yeah, that's really good. I mean, that's cool. You know, for us, part of the reason I was excited or interested to check this out for the Cici for Cthulhu brand was because pins were always sort of like hey, we'll throw in some pins, but it was never the feature, right? And so the idea of potentially, if there is this audience of pinheads out there that are like massive pin collectors, to be able to get in front of that audience with a pin focus group and showcase some of the awesome pins that we have would be a great opportunity. And last I checked, and the tool that I used just to compare this was BackerKit Launch. It sort of automatically connects you to BackerKit Launch. This is another sort of benefit of using the BackerKit crowdfunding platform. Launch is free to promote BackerKit crowdfunding projects. So it's usually $99 to promote a crowdfunding project off platform. It's free to use crowdfunding. And so that makes it very easy to see sort of what your returning backer rate versus new backer rate. And our our campaign, I think right now is like a little less than 60-40 in terms of new returning backers versus new backers. But, you know, for us, like 40 back, that's like 90 new backers, like first time backers for this campaign. So I definitely consider that a win in terms of, hey, we are reaching some new people that have never supported any one of our projects and are, you know, getting into our world from this. So I think that was,
cool. I think what Frank was saying earlier about like the conversations like on the BackerKit forums are a little bit unique because people there are used to the BackerKit ecosystem with like shipping and stuff. But I think it's probably the same for a lot of like backers themselves, where like they back primarily on BackerKit and they might not go to Kickstarter. So it might be a smaller audience, but it's still a pretty new audience to whoever's using the platform.
Yeah, absolutely. Other thoughts just in terms of, you know, like, I guess for the creator out there that would be considering maybe participating in the Nextopia event or thinking about trying their hand at a BackerKit launch, just, you know, what should they know? Any thoughts or tips? Yeah, we'll go Frank and then Rob.
I think a lot of people who made the jump to the Comictopia event were a bit disappointed because they were doing it instead of a regular Kickstarter, and it's just not the same thing. This Pintopia that I'm running event, I only have 3 pins, so I'm minimizing my expectations and I'm doing it for a specific purpose, and I think that's the best route because it's not a Kickstarter substitute. It's not going to be the same, but it is an untapped audience. So if you do want to try it, I would suggest streamlining something, doing something that fits the platform a little better, because it is, I think the hardest thing for Kickstarter right now is breaking through the bubble, finding people you just haven't reached. And there are people in BackerKit that you haven't reached. So it's better than doing nothing. So at least give it a shot and kind of manage your campaign to something that's not like you're putting all your eggs in one basket.
Rob.
Yeah, I mean, I think, go for something that's different. Don't, if you're primarily a comic book creator, I think that what, Mark and Cici are doing and what Frank's doing is, they're basically doing something different, but when Frank's kind of tying it back in, because that way it's doing something smaller on a smaller scale, but building up an audience. And it's not, like you said, it's not going to be the same exact results. So you can't say, hey, my Kickstarters do better, I'm going to, just stay there. For me, like I was looking at that comic, Topia that they had, but I was like, it's actually too much for me at this point to be able to even participate in that. So I totally backed away from that. But when I heard about the pins and plushies, I was like, oh, well, that's perfect for this different product that I'm trying to launch. I mean, obviously I did it twice on Kickstarter with the other stuff, but now I have another plushie that I'm putting out. So this is a perfect get in front of new people, new eyes, and, just, go with it.
One thing that I will just say to be prepared about, because this one shocked and surprised me, and I did not read the fine print. When you create your BackerKit project, you can create a pre-launch page similar to Kickstarter, and that's where you can send people to, and they can click to sign up to get notified, and then they get added to your BackerKit launch list, and you can message them and put content in front of them so that they can go back a campaign when you launch. But you can also at any time preview your Kickstarter page, and you can share a preview you can preview what your actual BackerKit page will look like, and you can actually share that preview with others. And if others get to that page and see the back button, they can actually back your project, and we'll start taking funds and money, and it will actually show your project as taking funds and money and being live before you go live.
Weird.
I like a week before the campaign had raised, I sent the wrong link, or I'd sent like a preview link, or I'd mentioned the thing in like one email or something, and when I checked, we had raised $3,400 like before I even was actively promoting it. And so I'm like, oh, is this going to take the sales out of launch day, or is this going to confuse backers? I didn't get a single inquiry email about it. It just,
I guess luckily your pledges were set up.
Yeah. I'm glad it wasn't placeholder. So that's just something to be weird, is like, if people get to that page and BackerKit has already approved your project, and they get to your page, they'll take the money if people want to give it. So
there's no launch button.
Yeah, there is no launch button. You can schedule a launch, and I think BackerKit will actually notify your folks on launch. But damn, that was a surprise. And I was like to you guys in a back channel message, like, anybody else project go live suddenly by mistake? I don't know. Yeah, it was weird. Yeah, Cici, Mark, any sort of final thoughts on, for people jumping in or giving BackerKit crowdfunding a try?
How do you all feel about the backer train thing? I feel like it doesn't do anything, but it makes me feel good.
So explain what a backer train is.
You might be familiar with this if you ever streamed on Twitch. Were you going to jump in there, Mark? No, okay. So Twitch has a hype train on it. So if people do monetary interactions on Twitch and a couple of people do them in a row, it starts a hype train, and then like there's a bunch of graphics and extra stuff happens, and it's supposed to encourage people to all like subscribe or use bits or whatever all at once. So if you have a couple of backers on your BackerKit campaign back in a short period of time, it starts a backer train, and there's a little banner that shows up on your site, and other than making you look popular, I don't think it does it.
Any little gamification or little extra bells and whistles, or a clicking timer going. I have heard that your campaign will stay live as long as there's a backer train going. So if your campaign is scheduled to end at midnight, but a new pledge comes in at the last thing, it will add extra time to your campaign, which potentially could add funding or keep the project alive. But yeah, I'm not sure if there's stats somewhere. There might be stats somewhere on the actual effect of the backer trains. I'll have to dive into that.
One more unique thing from our last campaign is that, so there's automated emails that get sent out like, hey, 48 hours left to back, so for BackerKit, you can customize those. Like if you wanted to have a custom message that gets sent out.
Oh, right. Okay. That's interesting. So those are going to be, and that was also something that was a little bit for me, because it seemed like there were some messages going out on my campaign's behalf that I'm like, did I send that? Did I set that up? Or is BackerKit just firing it away? And so, but there's probably a way to edit it before it goes out. But I guess it's going to go out no matter what.
Yeah.
Interesting. So yeah, we're still. I at least am still learning the platform and discovering things about it. But it's definitely a unique crowdfunding experience over there, and the event seems to be going well. So I'm glad that I participating, and glad that all of you were willing to come on here and chat with the Comics Launch audience and share your experience with it. Let's give everybody a chance to one final plug for your projects. We'll start with Frank and Pup.
She's got terrible breath. Grim Space, it's a sci-fi fairy tale series. My little guy over there, that's Pinocchio, and then that's my big bad wolf character Zeke. And yeah, I have a campaign for 3 pins, the logo, and those 2 guys, and just basically using it to get stock so I can sell them on Kickstarter.
Awesome. Rob.
Yeah, so you can get everything. You can get the Nightwolf plush, the Voodoo Doll plush, the Snowpaw plush. You can get the book. You get the pins. If you are into comics, the parents can also get the comic books that these were inspired by. And yeah, come on over and join the Wolfpack.
Awesome. Mark.
I'm going to pass it over to Cici, actually, for the
You got it. Shoot the hype.
Yeah, so the Magic and Mischief campaign, you can pick your Phoenix and you can help us recruit epic Phoenixes to save the Phoenix realm. You can get a pin of Cecil the Wizard or any of his epic Phoenix friends. You can also get the baby Phoenixes from our last campaign that are holding D20s in their little hands. We are very close to unlocking our second Nightmare Cat variant. So the enemy of the Phoenix is the Nightmares, and we've got a Nightmare Cat and a Nightmare Cat variant, and the variant unlocks at 200 backers. This was designed by Funny Figs, so thank you, Raymond. And yeah, if we hit 200 backers, that will unlock, and the pin will add automatically to the $45 pledge level and above in a bundle as an add-on.
That's awesome. And I'll wrap it up. We've got the CS for Cthulhu campaign, pins and plushies. We got pins, we got plushies, we got pin boards. So that out when you can. Thanks, everybody, for participating in this dynamic panel for the Comics Launch podcast and for participating in Pintopia.